I can see it.
All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the Cluster API community session for Wednesday, June 26th. It's not January. This is a subgroup of the CNCF cluster sig-cluster lifecycle. As such, we are guided by the CNCF code of conduct. That basically gets simplified down to be nice and be kind to each other, be good, treat others as you would wish to be treated, with the caveat that, be nice because that's how people want to be treated. Do try to follow the rules of using the raise hand feature in Zoom when you want to speak. We do have the Google Doc if you want to add your participant stuff to that. Where's the chat option here? I have posted the link to that. If you want to go ahead and add yourself as a participant. And then we also like to give a few minutes in the beginning to give new attendees a chance to introduce themselves if you're new to the group, new to the sessions. I don't know if we have anybody new on for this week. If you have not done that, to gain access, join the maybe I just hold on. Did I use the share? Here, try this link if it's a different link. You shouldn't get a request access. You should be able to just get right in, and then the edit access is by joining the sig-cluster lifecycle mailing list. So go with that. But if you want to introduce yourself, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll give you a chance to introduce yourself. Wait a minute to see if anybody wishes to do so. Today's agenda. There we go. Ted Wexler has raised their hand. So Ted, take it away. Introduce yourself.
Hey y'all. My name is Ted Wexler. I'm a senior software engineer here at Datadog. I work with Stephen Cahill. He's been a member of the group for a little while here, and I'm just shown up to support him a little bit and also get some more information because I'm on the team here at Datadog that is responsible for cluster lifecycle, and we're thinking about adopting cluster API in the future, not right away, of course. But, that's all I've got.
Great, welcome.
Thanks.
Anyone else wish to introduce themselves? Going once. Going twice. All right, let's kick it off with the agenda then. Do we have any open proposals for the readout? It does not look like it. Please speak up if there is. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to join a session, so I'm maybe out of touch. And if not, we'll kick it off with the first topic here. An interesting PR to enable file discovery and CAPI.
Hi, I don't know if Vince is joining the call. I think he's writing code at the same time while this meeting is going on. In any case, I wanted to bring attention to this and gather feedback on the call. Personally, I don't have an opinion whether this is something that we want to do. I would have preferred to read this like a proposal to read about it first. Also, my comment here on the diff is that Vince is adding fields to the Bootstrap. This is under the KubeADM types, and he's adding it in here. I'm not sure this is the best location. Some context. So KubeADM supports different ways to join nodes to the cluster. Currently, the default way on cluster API is to use Bootstrap tokens. So you have a token, you pass it to KubeADM join, and you are able to join this node to an existing cluster. What Vince is proposing is to enable the so-called file discovery, which is an alternative way of joining a node. You pass a file, which is a kubeconfig with some supposedly some predefined credentials instead of a Bootstrap token. And when you do that, KubeADM can use this, it's already client config, you can say, to perform the node addition. This is a very brief overview. So I just wanted to add this here to the agenda and see if people have any comments about it, and like to take a look at the PR and review it. Thanks.
Sorry, struggling to find right hand. Just try to understand your concern, Lubomir, here. What is your main concern? That we are expanding the kubeadmin config API surface?
Yeah, maybe I'm misunderstanding the location of the addition of the new fields. My only concern is whether a reader of these API types is going to be confused, sorry. Whether that's something that comes from upstream KubeADM or not, maybe comments are sufficient to clarify these concerns, or maybe just the location should be different.
Oh, okay, so just to clarify, so when Cluster API originally started its kubeadmin Bootstrap provider, initially we embedded the kubeadmin types, but since 1 year or 2 now, we have our own copy of types. They still resemble the upstream one, but they are different APIs. And we already have a lot of things around these types to configure files, NTP, users, pre-kubeadmin commands, etc., etc. So let me say our API surface is already a superset of the kubeadmin one, and they are not aligned for a couple of reasons. Not fully aligned for a couple of reasons. So we can think about the location. Please comment on the PR. But personally I'm not worried that we are not equal to the kubeadmin API. Honestly, I think we should do better to simplify the usage of our API, because there are probably some feature that makes sense in kubeadmin and in Kapi do not really make sense. So we never did this cleanup, but probably something that we have to do down the line.
I actually
I make an example. In kubeadmin there are all the feature to I don't know, to handle certificates. for the join. You know, the what is called the join certificate with the certificate authority that is using for validate join. But in Kubernetes we are not using this stuff. Sorry, in Capi we are not using this stuff, so we should hide those APIs. Or I don't know. We have the API. We still have an API for allowing users to specify the API endpoint. And if a user do this, probably the machine will not join because the API endpoint comes from a different process in cluster API. So yeah, we started from there, but if we want to make things simpler, we have to keep improving.
Thanks for the context. I was maybe just confused about the location, and I just saw something like a default kubeadm file discovery struct, and I saw Vince is modifying it. So I was thinking, oh, maybe there's a better place. But if you already have modifications, like supersetting this API with cluster API specifics, I would say that this is probably just fine at this point. It's it is what it is. I don't have other concerns. I was just maybe it was more of a question whether it's the right location. And tell me also, please, what do you think about the future in general?
There is Mike with the hands up, then I can answer your question.
Yeah, actually, my question was somewhat related to the future as well, just from the I saw today that the announcement of the new API version for kubeadm, and just was wondering if that would impact the superset of APIs to cluster API as well. Just as you were talking about it, was kind of an aside follow-up on that.
I answer first to Lubomir, but then I answer to Mike, since there are two different questions. And then we also have Vince that can comment on it. So if I look at this PR, I think it is interesting because one of the issue that we never properly solved was how to ensure secure bootstrap of nodes. And there was a proposal times ago to implement a bootstrap agent, but it was never implemented, etc. This PR, the PR from Vince, allow a solution for this problem of secure join, because you can basically pass a kubeconfig that using exec option. I don't remember the exact name of the field. And so you can basically delegate secure bootstrap on something running on your nodes. So I think it is interesting. It opened up a way for solving a problem that we had since a long time in Capi. Vince, do you want to add something to this?
No, I think you actually summarized it really well. The main purpose is like to make like kind of the kube config that gets generated like a little bit more useful, because otherwise I would have, like, for example, like if you want to use this today, you just have to create the right file directly, but then you have to somehow inject the CA data, which you still have to get from the secret. And then the control plane endpoint, it just replicates a lot of the work. Yeah, this just makes it like a little easier to just automatically create that file on disk. And sorry I joined late. I don't know if I guess there was a TLDR on the discussion that Lubomir brought up. I did reply on the PR as well.
I just opened the PR for discussion, and I briefly discussed with Fabrizio whether the location is correct for the addition of the fields, and Fabrizio assured me that this is already like the right place to do this. I kind of agree that this is really simplifying things a lot, especially around the the propagation of control plane endpoint, and also the addition of CA certificate to be not something that the user has to manage. Vince, did you manage to also, something that Fabrizio mentioned earlier, did you manage to attach like a credential provider to the kubeconfig somehow on these machines that you tested?
Credential provider, like not the exec you're talking about, right? The other field.
No, it was sorry, I mean the exec point.
Oh yeah, so that's how I'm planning to use it. Yeah, and,
Okay.
and it works great. So just one thought does like right now, like I guess I'm creating the file manually to test it out with KubeADM, but other than that, like yeah, it works just fine.
Mm-hmm. This is something that if we get this PRI eventually, a documentation mini guide can explain to users how they can actually leverage this bootstrap method, which is obviously more secure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one note is that it would be great if like the KubeADM Bootstrap provider would have some sort of maybe agent that gets bundled maybe in the image. I still have to think it through like how could that work? But at least it would open us the possibility to actually use it rather than, you know, starting from scratch.
Makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
All right, great. Vince, you still have your hand up. Is that in regards to this or for something else?
No, that's all. Let me go. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone have anything else to add to this topic before we move on to the next one? Okay, great. Next topic here is Fabrizio with KubeADM v1 beta 4.
Yeah, Mike, I have added this on the flight to answer to your question. So just giving first context and then status update. So as I explained right before, in Cluster API, we have our own types that define how Kubernetes will join. And then we have behind the scene mechanism that convert the Cluster API v1 beta 2 API to the Kubernetes API version for the Kubernetes version we have. I don't know, for depending on if you are using Kubernetes 1.29, you probably use Kubernetes version or v1 beta 2. If you go back a few release, you use Kubernetes v1 beta 2 or 1, etc., etc. For Kubernetes v1.31, we are going to use Kubernetes API v1 beta 4. So we have this mechanism that from a single version of Cluster API Kubernetes types, we converted to the correct Kubernetes types. This mechanism is there, and we have I linked an issue that is tracking the work for making this mechanism compatible with the new Kubernetes API. And so part of the work is if you scroll down, Mike, into the action plan. So, sorry, a little bit up. Okay, here. Thank you. So there was one mandatory task to allow us to support Kubernetes 1.31 that was basically extend this conversion mechanism to support the new Kubernetes types. And this task has been completed, merged, and everything is working fine. Okay. Then what we can do, since the Kubernetes v1 beta 4 types added new feature, we can decide to add those features, those fields, also to our APIs and make them work. Of course, they will work only with 131 and not with older version of kubadmin. But this is something that we already did in the past. And if you look at the second item, which is in the action plan, it is optional on breaking change. So for instance, kubadmin added a field to add extra environment variables to our components, to the control plane components, which could be very useful to set a proxy. So this is something that we can add. It is optional. It will work with 131, but it's part, let me say, of same goes for pulling image in serial mode. Same goes for a bunch of timeout for for tuning your kubadmin init and join process, etc. So there are a set of things that are easy win. We will try to add them before the release. And if folks are interested, please reach out. I will give pointer how to implement them. And then there are some things that are a little bit more complex to adopt. I make you an example. In kubadmin v1 alpha 4, there is a new field that allow to configure, to set up basically the certificate validity period. But if we want to expose these, we have to make some change in cluster API because we are making assumption of the certificate about the certificate duration in a few places. So we have to make our code smarter to allow configurable certificate duration. And same is for disabling add-ons, for using new encryption algorithm for the keys, etc., etc. There are also some breaking change in the kubadmin API that we cannot adopt until we implement a copy v1 beta 2 types. And those will be basically deferred until we change the API. So I hope I hope, Mike, this answer to your question. So we did the minimal work. We can start additional work to basically use all the greatest and latest from kubadmin. Some work is simple, some work is more complex, some work have to be deferred to the next API version.
Great, thank you. Luminator, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that as a maintainer, I'm slightly concerned about the breaking change of extra arguments. It is something that we got multiple requests over the years, so that's why we did it. I was thinking that maybe the ship have sailed on this one, and maybe we can keep it as a map of a string type forever. But after so many requests, we decided to actually change it, and now it's going to resemble something like if you have an environment variable on your container in a pod, is going to be similar to that key value pair. But it's a breaking change. So eventually, when you have cluster API v1 beta 2, there has to be conversion. And one issue that I know of is that if you have a runtime extension that is patching these existing fields in the old format of a map of string type, you may have to update your runtime extension to patch with the new format, basically. So it is ultimately a change that will propagate across the ecosystem in a certain way. Not everybody can use the kubeadm migrate command, and the kubeadm conversion is not exposed by itself. Cluster API, of course, can convert, but direct kubeadm users cannot do this. So it is where it's a breaking change. So I just want to comment.
Great, thank you.
And maybe good news is that if we manage to reserve the time for the next iteration of the API, it's probably, if you manage to reserve it properly, I think the next API of KubeADM should be a V1. So it's good news, I think.
That's very exciting. Okay, next up, Fabrizio again was cell for cluster class variables. That's also very exciting.
Yeah, this a PR that is it took a little bit longer to review it properly, but I want to give my shout out to Stefan and the two contributor. One is Chan, and the other, if I remember well, is David. That really helped in shaping out and this PR. This gives allow user working with cluster class to define validation rules for cell for cluster class variables, and this will and this validation rule can be defined at every level of the variable, so also for nested variables. They will give you a really nice experience, improve the user experience for people working on cluster class. So thank you, Stefan, and everyone worked on this PR.
Excellent. All right. Anyone have anything else? Any other shout outs from anyone else on that one? All right. All right. PSA. What do you got, Fabrizio?
Yeah, two PSA. Sorry, last week I was out of office, but it's something that I picked up. So and I have to still dig into. One is that is a reminder. There is a deadline for end-to-end test migration from the default cluster to the community clusters. And I saw there are reports going around with the list of jobs that are still pending. I saw that there are jobs from at least two cluster API providers. One is the Digital Ocean one, and the other is also for Azure, and the other is vSphere. I know for vSphere we are in the process of getting, hopefully getting, addressing basically all the requirements from test infra, getting new infrastructure to test and migrate the jobs. But yeah, heads up, if you don't migrate your jobs, test infra will stop running your test.
Raise my hand just to say that we recently, after recommendation from SIG testing, we migrated all the KubeADM jobs, which are, we have a good number of jobs, maybe 20, 30 jobs, migrated them from the GCE cluster to the EKS cluster with the idea to distribute the credits that are being spent better. And we haven't seen any flakes on the AKS cluster so far. I'm talking about the resource flakes. So potentially, if somebody is debating whether they should migrate to GCE or EKS, I think you might as well just go and ask SIG testing if you have a good number of jobs. But EKS is fine. That's what I wanted to mention.
Okay, the next point is about, I saw that there was an email about the fact that the CFP for maintainer track at KubeCon US are open. I did not read the email yet, but yeah, if someone is the community is interested, please reach out to the SIG list.
That's just a sig cluster lifecycle list or to a more specific list?
Sig lead, yes,
Oh.
yes. For the folks in this team is about the Sig lead. So Lubomir, Vince, me.
Right. All right. Oh, thank you. All right. Anyone have anything to add to that? All right, great. So Mohammed, you're up with a PR 10553.
Yes, hi everyone. So yeah, so this PR, it goes through multiple iteration. It has approved by Alberto as well. So it's just if another one, like any one of you guys can give it another review and approve it, so it get merged. That will be appreciated. And it's for the node deletion timeout. Wasn't set probably with the machine pool.
Very quickly, I saw this PR a few days ago, and in the last comment is a request to implement a few unit tests from Alberto.
Yeah, I added them.
There are no comments after the last comment from the from last week.
Yeah, maybe I just forgot to resolve the unit test, but like if you check the VR, you will see there are a couple of unit tests has been added already to with different cases.
So it seems that he's asking to implement an additional test. And yeah, if you can also resolve the comments that are already addressed, this will help.
Okay, sure. Okay, no problem. Then I can fix that. Yeah, okay. So just Alberto in the end put approved to it, and then maybe I forgot to to resolve the rest of this. Yeah, okay.
We also have a comment from Stefan in chat, who says he still wants to review it when he gets to it, but too much going on. And the pretty much standing comment that if you want to help contribute to the project, help learn, and work your way up to becoming a maintainer, that's always appreciated. There's always a lot of interest in contributing, not always as much time to do reviews and maintain the project as the demand is very high. So
That's okay. I understand. No worry. That's okay.
yeah, no, that's more of a standing call that's always out there. That happens with popular stuff. So it wasn't specific to you. All right, so next question is about from Mohammed again, how providers get affected by migrating from machine pool from experimental to stable API.
Yeah, it's more about not just machine pool. So when you guys upgrade an ABI from experimental to be stable ABI, like there should be announced, and then how this affect like the providers like Kaba, CapZ, CapV, whenever provider is using Kabi, like this migration from experimental to ABI, like do we keep back compatibility for sometimes? Is that we're gonna be like one shot release, or how this process happen?
Matt, you want to answer first?
Yeah, sure. Since I'm responsible for the PR, the overall answer is I don't really know because I haven't found a clear model for doing it, at least in CAPI. But I would assume, I mean, it's going to be a breaking change, obviously, because we've changed the API and all the providers are going to be importing that. So at least at the import level, it's going to be a breaking change. But, and maybe I'm being naive about it, I don't think other than changing your imports, you'd actually have to, there'll probably be some other repercussions in that the feature flag, well, we already changed it to on by default. So presumably if you're up to date with CAPI, you've already dealt with any changes any breakage that makes in your unit tests. At least we found some. So just off the top of my head, obviously it's a big breaking change in terms of imports, but I don't know that, I don't really know what else it would break. Maybe people have more experience with migrating a feature to production or to stable who can answer. Stefan.
I mean, Lumir is one of the experience, I guess. But I would really assume the same than you did. I think the current plan for what is left from machine pools is roughly, moving the packages around and at some point potentially changing the behavior of the feature gate or dropping the feature gate or something like that. But I think the biggest like delta in your PR is definitely moving all the packages. And that's probably what this PR is currently aiming for. So I wouldn't expect anything else than someone has to update the imports. I don't know if there's like some other stuff that we have. I don't know if there will be some other changes apart from moving code that you want to consider. But I think even independent of our like experimental and stable status of like the Go packages, I mean, our API is V1 beta 1, right? So it's not like we can just change random stuff because we want to change them. We still have to be careful. And as of now, I'm not aware of any breaking changes that we're planning to do to our actual Go types, apart from moving them to another package. And I would say if we want to do something, if we want to do a breaking change to our actual API types in the sense of, I don't know, dropping a field or whatever, that would basically need a new API version as usual. Like for any of our other CRDs, that wouldn't make a difference there anyway.
And then when we expect this to happen, like with like the next release, the release after, like is there a timeline for that, or it's just when it's ready?
Lumina, do you have your hand up to answer that, or should we go to Matt to answer that question real quick and then back to you?
That's for Matt, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have a specific plan. I was hoping to get it in for the next CAPI release, but if that doesn't happen, I don't feel like there's a need to rush it. So it may be out there as a work in progress for a while until we're all satisfied that it's safe. On the other hand, I think most of the work has been done and I updated the docs. So if people have specific ideas of what to change, I think it's ready for review. Go ahead, Lubomir.
This is general, more of a meta topic. How can we reduce the impact of graduation of features, such as that we don't have to move 100 files around, generate new code, and potentially just flip a feature gate? I can understand that. And so I'm going to give a quick example. If you have a simple CLI tool and you prefix a flag with experimental, and this is something that kubeadm and etcd have been doing. The moment you want to graduate this flag, you have to create a new flag that is not experimental anymore. You have to remove the old flag and users have to switch to your new flag. But the moment you do this and the longer you wait, the more chances is for you to going to be annoying to people, and also you break them inevitably. However, if you from the get-go start with the flag to be what it is without prefix experimental, and just document in the description, whatever is a field or a flag, doesn't matter, that this is experimental feature and is also maybe controlled by a feature gate, then the impact is minimal. Unfortunately, I don't know where is machine pools exactly. I think it's in an experimental package, alpha maybe. But my question is, can we reduce this impact?
Stefan?
Yeah, I think I want to clarify a few things. So I think the one very bad mistake we made with machine pools is already solved, because essentially we started at some point to put it into a different API group, but that was 1 or 2 years ago, and I think we're not going to repeat this again. So the current state of machine pools is essentially, it is already, I mean, from a user perspective, it's already beta 1, it already has the right name, the fields already have the right names, that's all fine and well. So at this point, and we also have a feature gate, and the feature gate is also already enabled per default. So I think for machine pools going forward, it's just about moving stuff from one package to another one, which only should affect people that are actually using Go to use machine pools. I think going forward, we should really rethink what experimental means, and if you need a different package to express that. I would probably prefer something like, if I got it right, like what Core Kubernetes is doing, they have packages for API groups. In those API groups, they have V1, Alpha 1, 2, 3, 4, beta, whatever. And that's the only sort of level of experimental that they have. They don't have like another one, which means you have to have an you have to have a feature gate, and then you put it into a different package. And because I think our users should basically look at the API version and be able to tell what it is, and not having to look into our import path to know if something's experimental or not. So at least for, let's say, features which are directly reflected in API types, I hope that the API version is enough and we don't need another level. I understand there are also other features which are not mapping to API types, and we might need feature flags for those because there's basically some controller thingy that we want to control. But I think for API types, it should be just an API package, an API version. We can go through gradation in the sense of alpha 1, 2, 3, beta, V1, just like everyone else does it. And that's probably the best we can do there.
I wanted to understand, so this additional API version, so if cluster API is, X cluster API V1 beta 1, you're suggesting to have like a separate version for experimental APIs?
No. We did this in the past, but we realized that it's a very bad idea because people have to migrate their entire series by copying them from one API group to another API group. So that was just a past learning that's the sort of thing that we really should not do.
So a potential new experimental kind will live in the latest iteration of the API?
I mean, that's a different discussion. I think there are different opinions if it's a good idea to have in the same API group different API versions, or if they have to be all in the same API version. My personal opinion is if I add like a new API that let's say semantically belongs in the core API group, I would prefer putting them into a V1 Alpha 1 package instead of having to start with beta 1 and with all the guarantees that come with beta 1. But I think that's an entire open discussion and a bigger one. Because I know there are different opinions.
I see. Oh, thanks.
Fabrizio.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Stefan. So the idea of experiment and all this work that we put maybe worked well back in the past, where there was many concurrent things being developed in cluster API, a lot more many folks active and doing PR than now. And so it helped a kind of increase parallelism. I think that now we should really get rid of experiments, mostly because all our experiments are at good stage, and we have to really think how to let me say, allow new feature to grow without adding complexity to the code structure, without imposing to users concept like experimental feature that does not exist in Kubernetes. We have API version, we have feature gates. That should be enough also for us. So I agree with. I think that we are in the good path. Get rid of experiment, and then whenever we will need to incubate something, we have to think a better way or simplest way to do it.
All right, sounds good. Anyone else have anything to add? Christian said here, the end, it's similar to the change core Kubernetes did, and why they moved from the group extensions to apps. Yeah. All right, anyone else have anything to add to this topic? All right, last up we have Daniil. I hope I got your name right there. This is about decoupling kubeadm from machine pool logic.
Yeah, so hey folks, I just wanted to give some context regarding also the discussion about stabilizing machine pools API. One of the issues we faced with trying this out in the environment where we don't have installed kubeadm, bootstrap, and control plane providers is that essentially there's a vendor lock on the kube with machine pools logic because of some specific requirements to essentially trigger reconciliation of the infrastructure based on token value in the kube config. It was mostly fixed in kubz, but I wonder what's your thoughts, if you have time to look into this PR, the first one, to approach that topic. Essentially, should those providers implement variation role to essentially give options to watch for other objects? And what I tried to implement, and I think it should be working for everyone, is to basically pass GVK for the resource and watch the arbitrary object, and then reconcile based on the hash if you want to do something like that. What's your opinions? Is this an anti-pattern, or it's a good approach to fix this? Because it seems to me that it's not only kubz at this point who, there's a provider implementer who might have the similar problem for our use case where we don't have installed kubeadm.
Not sure who had their hand up first. I think it was Lubomir.
I think Lubomir, yeah.
Yeah.
No, first of all, I'm not much of an expert around this part. How do you properly manage all the references and on the infrastructure part? I saw your PR when you created it, and I would say that I agree with the decoupling. Whether your approach is the correct one, I do not know. And I wanted to ask if you got your feedback from kubz maintainers, because in the end of the day, it's up to them to decide if your decoupling is the right way to do it.
I believe Matt is on the meeting. I pinged them on the Slack channel. It's in the review state essentially, but I'm reiterating because maybe you folks have better context and hey, just no to this change, or yes, sounds good.
I think I have an idea. So if your problem is mostly that you have to add the right watch to that controller with the right mapping function, we do a lot of that stuff in core Cubby basically, because let's say you create a machine deployment, or I think cluster is a better example. Let's say you create a cluster. Our controller doesn't know upfront what infrastructure providers used, which control plane providers used. So we cannot define a watch like at the beginning when the controller starts. What we do is basically during a reconcile, when we see, oh, hey, this reference points to, I don't know, vSphere cluster, then we are dynamically adding a watch to the vSphere cluster. And the same in a bunch of other places. So I'm basically wondering if the same approach would work here. That I mean, I don't know if there are any other dependencies, but just for the watch strictly and for the enqueue logic. So if your enqueue logic is basically generic, and you just have to figure out the GVK, you could probably say at some point, hey, this Azure machine pool belongs to this machine pool. I'm seeing that ref is like for this kind. Then I'm within the reconcile, I'm just making sure that I have a watch for this specific kind. And probably roughly use the same code that we have in the cluster controller, for example, core copy.
Yeah, Yeah, that's interesting. That's what I was initially thinking of, establishing some sort of dynamic watches on the object, but I wasn't aware if controller runtime currently supports natively such things. I mean, we can use cluster API logic, and if you think that's the right approach here, I will be all for using this.
Yeah, definitely works how to use it.
Okay, great. Sounds like you got an answer there. Matt from chat says that he'll take a look at it today. Anyone else have anything to add to this? Otherwise, we'll hit the provider update and the feature group update, and we'll be about out of time at that point. All right. There looks like there was an issue with URLs for Kappa artifacts being looked into today. I'm not sure who NRB is.
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
Oh, no. Fine.
Yeah, just letting people know I saw the issue. The release version is being added to the binaries in the GitHub release. I believe it has something to do with our release tooling update, but I'm gonna look further today and get that updated, either fixing it or updating the core Cappy book. So thank you, Stefan and Daniel, for pointing this out.
Great, thanks for the updates. El Miko, you wanna, or Miko, I forget which way you pronounce it when it's your username. Are you still online and want to give your PSA about Carpenter?
Yes, I am still online. The naming pronunciation is open source, so you can choose to pronounce it how you like. And we're going to have a feature group meeting right after this for Carpenter. And we didn't have the last two meetings, so it should be a real barn burner. So see some of you there, hopefully.
All right. Awesome sauce. Sure you hear that word every day. Does anybody have anything to add in the last 3 minutes that we have here? Going once, going twice. Then have yourselves a wonderful day, and see you all on the interwebs and next week.
Thanks for hosting, Mike.
My pleasure. I just need to find the stop recording button. There we go.